जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनचारी जमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनचारी जमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनचारी जमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद Divine Grace of Chరణारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON विभूतिरामचंद्राचार्य जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद Divine Grace भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजों वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समावित भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. Glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gaura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 4, text number 35. Generally, 34 and 35 are in continuation because one exposes how to achieve the absolute truth, and second is the declaration by Lord Krishna himself what is absolute truth. So, the process and the product both are described here, and one cannot remain ignorant of both the aspects. For the purpose of learning the truth, we have to approach the spiritual master, inquiring from him submissively and render service unto him. So, because the spiritual master is a self-realized soul, he can impart the knowledge of the absolute truth, because spiritual masters have seen the truth, they have experienced the truth, they have realized the truth. So therefore, truth will not remain hidden. And even Krishna does not hide that absolute truth and give independence to any thinker or a student of Bhagavad Gita to come to a different kind of conclusions about the absolute truth. No, it's one only, and that is today's verse. Jñātvā na punar moham evaṁ yāsyasi pāṇḍava yena bhūtāny aśeṣāṇi drakṣyasy mayi. Yat which jñātvā, knowing, na never, punah again, moham to illusion, evaṁ like this, yāsyasi you shall go, pāṇḍava, O son of Pandu, yena by which bhūtāny living entities, aśeṣāṇi or drakṣyasy you will see, ātmany in the Supreme Soul, atho or other words, mayi in me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vedavyasapriya Swami Prabhupada. Having obtained the real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Krishna is the Supreme and all living entities are his part and parcel, owned by him. The result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, in learning that all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Shri Krishna. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called maya. Ma means not, ya means this. Some think that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is the only great historical personality and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Actually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experienced in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. But the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that the absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 and 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. We want to, for the want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion. And therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless non-different from him. The bodily difference of the living entities is maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna by maya alone. Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsmen was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of Gita is targeted towards this end, that a living being, as Krishna's eternal servitor, cannot be separated from Krishna, and his sense of being and identity apart from Krishna is called maya. The living entities, as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that the purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from a bona fide spiritual master, and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul Krishna is the supreme shelter of all living entities, and giving up such a shelter, the living entities are deluded by the material energy, imagining themselves to have a separate identity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, become situated, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 10th chapter, 6th verse. Muktir hitvanyatha rupam swarupena vyavastiti. The liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna. It's called Krishna consciousness. So, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshul Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhūtale Swayam Rupakata Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jata Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Taptam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanta. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhūtale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatara Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the sum and substance of Krishna consciousness, that we have to come to the knowledge of the Absolute. There are truths can be divided into many categories. Sensual truth, empirical truth, or logic is also considered one of the approximate truth. Relative truth is there. There is also called some truth to be superior than other, but at the same time, the ultimate of all truths, the source of all truths is called absolute truth. The word absolute is means the ultimate, which is the origin, and that is a subject matter for Vedantists to know, that those who are students of Vedanta, the absolute knowledge, the truth, absolute truth has been described in the Vedanta Sutras. Jñātvā yataha, that is also absolute truth. That is the first aphorism of the absolute truth, which is given in a formula, a condensed version. Aḥam Brahmasmi is also part of the absolute truth. Then Tattvamasi is also an indirect way to express the nature of the absolute is hidden in these formulas. The absolute truth has to be exposed by not only realization, but it should be studied under the tutelage of Guru Shishya Parampara. It should be studied under the disciplic succession from the spiritual master to the student. And in turn, the student also continues teaching to his students. But the absolute truth cannot be hidden. It is available to the sincere souls. One must seek out in a disciplined way. Disciplic succession means the absolute truth has been carried from the guru to disciple. So everybody can systematically and authoritatively receive the absolute truth. So, Krishna advised a sincere student to approach a bona fide spiritual master with service attitude and become very attentive to receive the knowledge from him. So he serves him and he asks pertinent questions. Tadvitti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashnena. If we ask sincerely and in all humility with a service attitude, because we are also trying to serve the others as the carry forward the continuation to distribute the absolute truth to others, because it cannot be hidden. It has to be exposed. Krishna exposes himself. And a self-realized spiritual master means who has also received this absolute truth in disciplic succession, can impart this absolute truth through proper knowledge. We have to know. Experience means we have to know and then also enter. Because to know that all the living entities are but part and parcel of the supreme absolute truth, so they are also real, and their absoluteness is supported only by the absolute, and absolute is not impersonal. Absolute is personal. Impersonal nature is the influence of the person, the absolute person. So Lord Shri Krishna is addressed as the Bhagavan, means he is the absolute person who is all attractive and all knowledgeable and all powerful, all famous, all beauty, all wealthy, as well as all renunciate, because he should be independent. Absolute truth is the independent truth, the only truth which is independent, and everything is dependent upon him, which are called relative truths. So, Krishna is saying that as far as everything is concerned, he is the source of everything. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Here it is said that the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is manifested in spiritual qualities. Manifestation of spiritual qualities. He is the sum total of all spiritual energies. Manifested. Parama Krishna. As supreme controlling nature of the absolute truth, because everything depends upon. So, and he is Satchidananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of his internal potencies, Sat, Chit and Ananda. So, he is the embodiment of those energies, from which even the material energy arises. It's a reflective. So, just like from Krishna's personality, man's personality has arrived as an image. But nonetheless, Krishna is trying to, the entities who have developed consciousness, to know about his own reality. Krishna says on his own he will not be able to know. He must approach a bona fide spiritual master who has seen or witnessed or experienced and realized this absolute truth. Only he will be able to reveal. So therefore, the absolute truth is highest explain or revelation. Highest revelation of the absolute truth is expressed in the form of Satchidananda Vigraha and Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. He is the origin from whom everything has originated, both manifested and non-manifested. Titles or universes or personalities, manifested and non-manifested. But manifestation may be temporary, but there is the spiritual manifestation is anadi, means there is no beginning from. So he is ever manifested. All the others, relatives, they can only be remaining eternally manifested in the spiritual realm only, not on the material realm. So they come and go. So nonetheless, Sarva Karana Karanam, for all the cause of all causes. We see only relative causes in material world, to be or to have something or anything that exists. It is temporary. While Krishna is anadi, and the realm of Krishna is also anadi, so that atmosphere, that spiritual absoluteness is found in the spiritual world, and in material world there is only relative truth and the perverted truth, or what we call reflecting truths, which are completely opposite in nature. So the absolute truth is exposed, that all living entities whom we are connected, we may know that the things which are material and not living, we may not be so much connected eternally to them. It comes and goes through. But what about the other living entities whom we become so attached, because they are also living, means existential in relationship to Lord Shri Krishna for the purpose of interactions that they voluntarily do or do not do. Like the living entities, many are ignorant. So they don't see any cause of all causes. Or some who know, but at the same time, they think, well, Krishna doesn't have an independent basis. They think Krishna is also manufactured by this so-called maya, the perverted reflection of the absoluteness, which is called temporary. Krishna is not a temporary manifestation. And the realm in which he has his own personal, direct, control is the spiritual world. Material world, he gave, is to be controlled by Maya, Maya Devi. So she works on the guidance of the Supreme Lord. She is not an independent person. Because Krishna created Maya. Krishna created the whole material world under her jurisdiction. And that is temporary, yet it is bewildering and making every part of the absolute truth so perverted that as if it is distributed different ways. No, absolute truth still exists along with the relative truths and the material world. The absoluteness is established from time to time because the forces which are opposing the absolute authority of Lord Shri Krishna, of the spiritual world, in the material world, they may construe different things, but that becomes the disturbance in the order that the Creator, Lord Shri Krishna, has intended for. So therefore, he comes in different incarnations to re-establish the order of the absolute truth. So Mayavadis will not be able to explain that. If Krishna is part of Maya, then how is it that he is going to establish the order of the absolute nature? Maya is a relative nature. It's a related nature because our vision is limited for Maya, for within this material universe only to one planet, and where the other living entities are competing for survival of the fittest and other things. So where is the situation? But the absolute truth declared here by Lord Shri Krishna emphasizes that the life substance, which is the sum and substance of his very constitution, is appearing as a part and parcel. Part and parcel. His part, not the whole. A part and parcel is not called the whole. He is dependent. So part and parcels are dependent upon the whole. But the living entities means the substance that make the body's life, that is called the soul, the part and parcel of the super soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is the absolute truth. But if the part and parcel is in connection with the absolute truth, then and then it is possible that the recognition of the absolute truth by the part and parcel is understood through interrelationship with the relationship with other living entities, the relationship with the Supreme entity, Lord Shri Krishna. So, on that level of recognition or knowledgeability of the same substance which is non-different than in the whole. The whole is qualitatively one with his part and parcels. Or in other words, the part and parcels are qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. So on that level, we need the realization also. And we cannot become equal. So that this difference has also to be accepted. So being subservient keeps the connection with the Supreme Absolute Whole is essential and ingredient that is uh, built in. This is the built-in situation. You are not going to artificially put anything from outside. So part and parcel is equal in quality, but not in quantity. And because this quantity is always less in part and parcel, therefore it is subservient to the Supreme Whole. And in that connection is to be established. So when one realizes that all the living entities, are but part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, and they are within him, will be claimed as his. Will be claimed as his. So, absolute truth claims everyone or everything that exists, even though temporary or permanent. So, in this way, absolute truth will be revealed through the agency of those who have realized the absolute truth, the spiritual master. And similarly, he has to be taught practically how to serve spiritual master and then inquire pertinently. The inquiry should be on that subject that we are learning. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada cultivated the habit that after every class, the subject matter should be kept in mind, and the question and answers will be on the basis of that subject matter only. If people have to inquire something else, then they should do it separately, but not in the class. That is the etiquette. So, Pariprashnena Sevaya bears a very definite etiquette or the mindset to focus only on that subject matter that is being taught. So the absolute truth will be revealed because you are part and parcel of the absolute truth and you are related with him and you are supposed to end up serving the Supreme Absolute. So this is the sum and substance. So therefore, we are rightly and constitutionally, performing the required process to keep ourselves into the awareness of the absolute truth. That is actually going to remove our illusion. Na punar moham evaṁ yāsyasi pāṇḍava. Krishna says, the first reaction, if you have received the transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth, then you will never become bewildered. You will be free from the effect of maya. You will be free from the effect of maya. Na punar moham evaṁ yāsyasi pāṇḍava. You will not be subjected to the ignorance of the material world. You know how she is and she is supposed to act, but you are aware of your eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord because you are part and parcel and you are His. So therefore, you have to render devotional service to Him because you depend upon Him. You depend upon Him. This entire world is depending upon the Supreme Absolute Truth, Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, not they are dependent upon impersonal aspect. Impersonal aspect is the influence, just like in a big kingdom, there is a central palace where the Lord is existing and he is ruling. So he has a lot of emissaries expanded to reach out to each and every living entity to keep under control. So similarly, both in the spiritual and material world, the absolute rule of the absolute truth personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is being, centralized. We have to centralize only one thing in our life, Krishna. Don't centralize any other activity. Prabhupada was against, and centralization of the institution. No, nothing can be said. Everybody should voluntarily and actively, as a unit, as a branch of ISKCON, and fully dependent upon following the local rules and regulations. They can keep communication and expose, but they should not be controlled by locals. They should not be controlled by those who are also being controlled by Maya or the rules and regulations that we have to follow. So, centralization is only one. Keep Krishna in the center. That is the real centralization. And all our activities are to be rendered to Him and Him alone. So in this way, we can understand the importance of, this knowledge of the absolute truth. So it was first imparted in the heart by Lord Krishna Himself. Tene Brahmaradaya Adi Kavaye. What absolute truth? That because He is the Supreme Person, His appearance and activities are also supremely divine, in the sense that supremely enacted by His own internal or spiritual energies. And He is the absolute truth personality of Godhead. Therefore, He has to emphasize His nature to His dearmost servants. So, in the material world, Brahma was the first recipient of this absolute truth. And the Lord spoke and Brahma received through 8 ear holes. And that knowledge, Tene Brahmaradaya Adi Kavaye, that knowledge of the absolute that Brahma received was so bewildering to the demigods. Demigods have been created by Brahma. So they are bewildered about the whole creation. Tene Brahmaradaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surya. And how do they get bewildered? Because this Maya is manifesting now. So Tejo Vari Mradam Yatha Vinimayo Trisarga Amrusha. Trisarga in the matter of Sthiti and Pralaya. This is called Trisarga. Trisarga means creation, sustenance, and dissolution, where the demigods are going to take part. And when they observe how the interactions of the material elements in creation, sustenance, and dissolution, which they are supposed to be, managing for the welfare of the entire populace of the living entities throughout the universe. These demigods get bewildered. How they see the transformation of the material world from Tej to Vari, Vari to Mridam, and Mridam Trisargo Amrusha, everything. From fire, water comes, and from water, earth comes. Now, this is the scientific fact. This is the scientific fact. Even today, from whatever burns produces heat and carbon dioxide. Or the fire means burning light and carbon dioxide. Two things are. So Teja, the fire, water vapor is coming out. Anything that burns, you will get two things: water vapor and carbon dioxide. So Teja, why? Because the fire consumes anything material. So it catches the nature of fire. And the product is organic, made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So what do you get? That burns means the heat will come, or the fire and the light will come, and water vapor will come, and carbon dioxide will come, like that. So Tejo Vari Mridam, and if water has to settle down, it leaves insoluble particles, or which one has been soluble, now become solid particles that were soluble. So water always is coming from fire, and this particular or the material world is coming from water, and that is the earth. The earth is composed of only 1/4 of, let's say 1/3 or 1/4 is land, and the rest is water. So naturally, the land mass has come from the water. And it is also a scientific fact. Nobody can refuse it. So, Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo. And Vinimay means exchange. It comes and goes, it gets reactions, further splitting, further, breaking down or recombination, everything. So Vinimay, Yatha Vinimay, Trisargo Amrusha, in the matter of creation, sustenance, and dissolution. So, but Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. Even though these things are happening that bewilders the demigods. This Maya is bewildering demigods, even. What to speak of other living entities. But the one who is the master of all mystics, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his own abode, Dhamna Svena Sada. Sada means always. Nirasta Kuhakam. He is the absolute personality, and he is under no change. Satyam Param Dhimahi. He is the absolute truth. Let me meditate upon him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. This is the purpose of the Vedanta Sutra, to expose the absolute truth. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on this absolute truth. And how we can engage with the absolute truth, because we are part and parcel of it. It's a subject matter of the service attitude, which is called the devotional service. Now, devotional service, in the beginning, we have understood that It is coming from the raw form of all contaminations, and gradually, with the help of the bhajana kriya along with the devotees, it gets purified, and all our ignorances. And the ignorance can create so many anarthas, and anarthas create aparadhas which are unwanted. They are systematically, removed and get us purified to become liberated from the clutches of ignorance called Maya. So in this way, absolute truth is to be known by any intelligent person through the proper disciplic succession, and with a proper Vaishnava etiquette, proper attitude approaching the spiritual master, and he will be imparted. Then he will be imparted means upadekshantitam jnanam. He will be imparted this knowledge of the absolute because he has seen the truth. He has experienced the truth. So in this way, we are told that absolute truth is Lord Shri Krishna, and all the living entities. Actually, Arjun was concentrating on the so many living entities. They are going to be massacred, and he was completely perplexed because he had bodily relationship with them. So that created the Maya of ignorance. The veil of ignorance was removed by Lord Shri Krishna by giving proper directions of instructions. So in this way, we can see that it becomes very, very important for all the intelligent people who have some discriminating value in their choice of life. They may desire anything, but intelligent people are those who have the choice to know inquisitiveness about their reality, or reality of their surrounding. They will really become fortunate to make systematic progress. So in this way, this particular verse exposes the absolute truth about Lord Shri Krishna and his absolute authority, be all that over it. So anybody has any question or comments?
Hare Krishna, does anyone have any questions?
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I've allowed you to unmute. If you have some questions, you can put your hand up, you can ask a question.
Hello, Haribol. Anybody? Any question or comments? Absolute truth has been very heavy word for ignorant people. They understand truth is truth. Truth and lies, what they have learned so far, but these are so relative terms that they exist only on material platform. And they struggle and they try to claim circumstantially that, oh, they are right and you are wrong and this and that, and they keep on quarreling. It does not resolve anything. But when they are able to know the absolute truth, then all the apparent contradictions or quarrels, they will be subsided. Isn't it that the beauty of the Vedic wisdom is being exposed here? Suttapa Prabhu.
You can
Hare
unmute
Krishna
now.
Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna
Yes.
Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. I was just wondering the term absolute truth, actually it somehow, if we go by just the meaning, it gives an aspect of an impersonalism, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't give a form of the Lord. Absolute truth, if we take the term as such. So why this term is used in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam to explain the Lord?
Impersonals will have different translation.
Okay.
No. Nirasta kokam. Nirasta means he is so much independent. There is no control on him. That is not impersonal.
Okay.
Janma Adi. Now, what is meant by Adi? Starting from his birth or existence, which is never possible. He is always there. So his appearance meant activities. Adi means activities. That transcendental in nature doesn't make him, impersonal.
Okay.
Therefore, Vyasadeva was clever, and he wrote, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yataha. So who? Bhagavate Vasudevaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. All right? How is it making an impersonality?
Correct. Yes.
Okay?
Yes, Guru.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pulasthi Muni Prabhu is here. You can unmute Prabhu and ask.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful class. I have a question in terms of why do you think the Mayavadis entertain such a theory that denies the personality of the Lord? Do you think it's fear? Do you think he's trying to avoid responsibility? Because, once you understand that the Lord is a person, then there is a sense of, and we are parcel of him, obviously there is a sense of responsibility on our behalf. We have to act accordingly. We have to do something for the pleasure of the Lord. Or is it just jealousy towards the Lord? Which
That's
aspect
the point. You caught
it's
the
the most
word
prominent?
Enviousness. Enviousness can make everything complicated to go round and round and round, like a dog chasing its own tail. He doesn't understand. This is his own tail. Why does he have to chase? Impersonalists are like that. You caught the word jealousy.
So
Why
there's
you have to be jealous?
no fear.
No. Why do you have to be jealous when they see that they are qualitative same? They are qualitatively same, but quantitative difference is there. Okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Haribo.
Any other questions coming? Or comments? Doesn't look like it, Guru Maharaj. No one else is putting their hands up, Guru Maharaj.
All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much,
Prabhupada
Guru
ki
Maharaj.
jai.